Okay, so I'm about ready to shape all my loaves now. I just need to prepare my baskets, which I've gotten out. So you're gonna do a sprinkle of flour basically on your basket to help the bread not stick. I like to leave these canvas linings in. I think they help the bread come out easily. Most of the professional kitchens I've worked in, the flour that you would use to sprinkle is a blend of rice flour and wheat flour. I don't have any rice flour and it's not that important to me to use that. I have some purple barley flour that I milled that's like a little coarser than like my whole wheat flour or just the plain flour. So I like to use that to sprinkle. You basically just don't want to use anything that's gonna like be all gummy once the moisture of the bread gets in there and sits. My cat wants attention. He's like that. So anyway, I'm gonna sprinkle this over the baskets. If you want, you can use like a little sifter if you're like really anal and want a perfectly even coating. I'm not, so I'm just gonna use my fingers because I'm like that. You do want to make sure you get like the sides of the basket as well as the bottom. I have one oval basket and one round basket. I prefer to bake an oval loaf, to be honest, because it's like you can get more consistent slices when you're cutting. But a round loaf looks cute too, and I got like this variety pack of baskets, so it's okay. My third basket is like a baguette shape. It doesn't have a cover for it, so I'm actually going to use that sackcloth to make a lining. I've baked directly out of it before, and you can do that. I'm just careful when I have a wet dough about proofing it directly in the basket, just because it's more likely to stick to the basket than the canvas. But the really cool effect you get if you proof directly in the basket is all the little lines will catch your flour when you sprinkle it, and then it'll leave that design on the bread when it comes out of the basket, so it looks kind of cool. So, but I still would rather have a cloth. So I'm just gonna kind of nestle this in there, and I will still flour it. It's kind of awkward to hold, but you know, I'm figuring it out. Just get used to the fact that when you're making bread, you're gonna get flour everywhere. It's all over the place. It's unavoidable. Now we can shape our bread. It's probably been about 10 to 15 minutes since I let them sit for the pre-shape. So that's a good amount of time. So what I'm gonna do is make sure that the top surface of the bread is very lightly floured. And make sure my hands are lightly floured. Always pick up with your scraper, remember. We're going to flip it over. Have a roughly rectangular shape. And then we're going to take the top third and fold it down. The left third, fold it in. All right. And then roll it down. Shaping is a whole beast unto itself. There's so many different ways to shape your bread, and different strategies and techniques. I mostly do this method that one of my mentors used. It works for me. People make whole YouTube videos just about shaping, so I'm not going to go into depth about it. And then the seam on the bottom, you're actually going to flip it and put that facing up. We're going to do our round loaf. And I'm not really worrying too much about like this barley flour mixing in with the white flour I had. It's kind of whatever. So this piece has a nice thin coating of flour over it. So I'm going to pick it up again very gently, flip it. Make sure we have a rough rectangle or square, it's fine. We're going to do our top third. One quick note, when you're folding for both your pre-shaping and your shaping, make sure that you're not folding over and sealing like a big pocket of air inside. I know you would think that that might be good, but it's not. It's not. So you just want to be careful. Okay, so to make this one round, then I'm just gonna kind of do this scooping motion on the bottom. You can also, as I'm doing right now, use your scraper to increase the surface tension on the outside of your loaf. If you just like do this scooping motion under the bread, you'll notice that it tucks the bread under itself. So that's good. Flip. Okay, flip. I have a little bit of dough built up on my hands and flour residue, so I am going to clean those a little bit before I shape the loaf. Okay. So this one I do want to be more actually rectangular than square, so I am going to stretch it out a little bit. And what I'm going to do is take the top kind of like quarter and fold it into the center. Take the bottom and fold it into the center. And then I'm going to fold those two halves like over in on themselves so that that center seam then folds into the middle again. I like to kind of use my thumb in the middle to press it in there. And then I'm going to use that like scooping motion that I was just talking about with the scraper, but with my hands. And I can manipulate the shape of the loaf with those motions. So I'm gradually kind of narrowing and elongating it. And again, somebody else on the internet would probably not approve of my style here, but I don't really care. My dough's feeling great. It's looking great. I have high hopes, but every batch is different. Every bake is different. So honestly, I say you never know how it's going to come out until you cut it open. Maybe some people do, but even though I've worked as a professional baker for a few years now, I still feel that sourdough is, you learn something with every batch. Every batch is different.